Hello and welcome to another video. This is not a usual video. It's not a normal video, but it's sometime in the evening and I feel anxious, so anxious in the lead up to this big game against Europe. I don't know if you feel the same as me, but it seems to be therapeutic to talk. It seems to be therapeutic to make these things. Now, maybe you have absolutely no interest in this, shut up, give us the news type of thing, and that's totally fine. But I do feel obviously a sense of community with everybody who watches the channel, watches the videos, watches the lives, participates, and hang out. Y'all mean a lot to me. And I feel so anxious about this game. And I've been trying to figure out for the last few days, why do I feel so anxious about this? Why do I feel as though it is the biggest game in such a long time? Why does the occasion get to me so much? It's ridiculous, right? Because it feels like, what are you doing? Are you doing like a Spurs where they're sitting there saying it's like the crown jewel, the biggest thing ever if they win this or not? Is that the view you're taking? That's a small club mentality type of thing. And you're right. You're right. You're totally right. And it's an issue. It's a problem. But I think that that's what scares me because I was sitting here thinking this evening, I feel like, when you're a kid or when you're at a job and someone tells you you have a girlfriend and they say we need to talk and you're waiting for that discussion. You're waiting for that conversation and you just know it's going to be the end, the death, the worst thing ever. Um, that dread, that feeling. Maybe it's just us millennials who had to go through that when we first got phones and cell phones and texting and things that had to receive those kinds of messages and calls, but I'm sure it affects everybody. Um, but that feeling, that dread, that's what I have. And I've been thinking about it a lot recently. And for the last few years I've had this gnawing feeling in the back of my mind. Last season was terrible, but we still had a little bit. We come back now and again. We'd win a game now and again. There was still a little bit of it, of United, of the history. And a lot of times when we talked about the club and when you hear about the club, people talk about the DNA of the club. And they think it's a style of play or an attacking mentality or things like that. But I don't think that's what it is. And I think a few things kind of finally brought it into focus in the last few days, what it is and what bothers me. United, to be fair to their credit, posted a video on their Twitter today about heritage, and it shows all of this. And I realized that's the truth of it. DNA is success, and it's a mental thing, and you can feel it, and it grows, and it's so hard to quantify. And we were talking about it, and it kept lingering in my mind in the lives that we've been talking about recently, saying, do we overanalyze? Do we look too much into it? Because at the end of the day, there's a mental thing. Some people, some players, they just get it done and some don't. And you can't quantify that and you can't measure it and you can't reproduce it and you can't predict it. You just have to know it when you see it. Well, United had that. United have had that for so long. Even after Sir Alex retired, there was just at times a bit of the magic left. A bit of it left. And recently, in recent years, I've been wondering, and it's been really bugging me. Are we winning some of these games? I would look at the club, I would look at the players, I would look at this awful recruitment, and I would say, but why? Why do we keep somehow surviving? Somehow we still get top four every other year. Somehow we still get second. Somehow we still, while making the biggest mistakes unimaginable. Somehow that keeps happening. Somehow we end up back in cups. Somehow we weasel our way through and we get there. Shouldn't say weasel. We fight our way through, right? We claw back. And I thought, what if that just goes? There's no divine right for United to win. There's no real magic. There's no curses. There's no God given gift that makes United win. It's off the back of grit and determination that are the basis of Manchester United as a football club and have formed everything for such a long time. It is, what Sir Alex helped to further instill, nail down, and really reinforce within the team for so long while he was manager. The never die attitude, the winning attitude. And it affects the players at the club, but it also affects the players who you play against. That there's a magic, a mystique when you come to Manchester United to play them, when you face them, that just they have something, the Fergie time, the this, the that, that's just there. And that little mental edge can make all the difference in a game. It can be the difference between all those games when we just barely lose and we just push and we push and we push and we find the victory versus we don't. And it came into my mind last year because we just had a little bit of it left. And we got 8th. We should have done a lot worse, but we still had a little bit of that magic left. Those late winners, the Liverpool game in the cup, the final, all of that, the little bit of magic left that changed things in a way that otherwise it could have been completely disastrous. But each year it's felt less and less and less and less. And that's what scares me so much. The mental aspect of what makes United United is gone. It's almost fully gone. It's down to the smallest flicker. And I think that that's what Amarim was talking about when he said, we've gotten used to losing, and that's why it's so dangerous. And that's the biggest problem with it, that people are used to losing. And I myself am guilty of it because I'll say I don't care that we lose and I face the reality of it. But I'm a fan. I'm okay with that. I can do that to cope with the losses, to cope with the lack of success, and understand why we've gone down that route. Poor owners, nothing from the top, nothing to drive the club forward, nothing to keep that mentality burning within the club in its core, right? But the players can't. The club can't, and the people can't, but they have. They've lost it. It's been gone. It's been departing, and there's just a little bit left. And I've sat also wondering why. Why in Europe have we managed this? Well, we cannot buy a single win in the Premier League, and the smallest teams come to us, and it's because they see us every week. They know the magic of United is gone. They know that United aren't what they once were. The mystique of playing Manchester United has all but faded for the rest of the Premier League. But in Europe, it's still there. There's still the magic of United. It still exists to a degree. So we go to Sociedad and they're scared and we overrun them and we beat them and we pummel them and we attack them hard and we fast and they concede and they seem to fail. They seem to collapse. They seem to wilt before the might of Manchester United that they don't know doesn't exist. Then we face Lyon and a little bit of that magic comes back at home. They somehow let us come back and win 3 goals in 7 minutes. That's the Manchester United magic. But we would never make that happen in the Premier League anymore. It hasn't happened all season. It barely happens anymore. Then we go into Bilbao, defensive fortress, one of the best teams in Europe, best teams in La Liga. Smash them. They lose their head. They lose it. They got up for it like it was this massive, massive game. We weren't just anybody. We were Manchester United, and that was their downfall. But it's gone. And that's the fear of playing Tottenham. When people are, I sit there and I think logically we should win. Logically we should do great. Logically we should be better. Logically we should win these types of games. You look at Spurs and the players and everybody's talking like it's everything to them to win this game. Not because it's United, but because it's the occasion. And you start to realize that if we don't beat a team like that in the final now, given where we are in the season that we've had and everything, then the magic is well and truly gone. Because the teams that have not done anything and don't have that magic at all, because Spurs sure as hell don't. If anybody doesn't, they are the opposite end of this spectrum. If we can't beat them, then it is gone. And if it goes, does that mean United as a football club are dead? No. But it does change, because this is how the big teams of the past have gone down the road of endless decline and failure. United still have a big fan base. They still have a lot of money, but we're limited by the rules and things like that in a manner where we still can't spend on unlimited nature. We can't go crazy in the market. We can't just spend enormously to carry ourselves out of it just because we're a big club. There are rules preventing that weren't probably there in the past, not in the same way, but now could keep us into a death spiral that is hard to climb out of. But what it means is that United have to climb back up in that case, not with the old ways, not with the DNA, not with any magic, but with perfect recruitment They have to claw back in a way that it took 20 years for Liverpool to claw back. They have to claw back in a way that Arsenal eventually did, even though they still haven't won anything. They have to claw back like Aston Villa. We've become ordinary. And that's what's scary to me. That's what's scary to me because you lose a final to Spurs in the state that United are in, it's gone. And I think a huge representation of this is Old Trafford and the record at Old Trafford. And I believe that year after year, the fear that has come with playing at Old Trafford has diminished. And our home record on average has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And if it falls apart completely, then, what else do we have left? Because that was the representation of that fear. And I'll show you in a minute what that looks like visually. But if it ends, then the Theater of Dreams will be just a dusty old once great cathedral that now resembles the tomb of what once was. And that scares me. That really scares me. And it's in our future. And it's something that's been there clawing at the back of my mind that if we fully lose that mental edge, then we lose what actually makes United great. We lose the actual DNA of it. And we've tried to keep it alive with different things that have tried to almost grasp it with managers, with people with attitude, with history like Jose Mourinho, with bringing Solskjaer back, Ollie's at the wheel, a legend of the game, a great person who had a little bit of that magic and brought a bit of it with him. The night in Paris, the things like that, never say die. We had a little bit of that. He brought some with him, but it wasn't enough because it was not backed up properly. But each year and each time since, it has gotten worse. Each cycle, it's gotten worse. And we're almost on the cusp of it, and I don't want to lose it. Not because we can't get there, not because anything else I've said isn't true about how we want to build, but simply because it makes it so much harder. It makes it so much harder, and we have a chance now with this game to take it back, to have everybody in Europe, in the world, in the competition, in Premier League look and say, how the fuck did United once again win at the death? And that's how it feels in the long term, in the grand scope of things, that somehow we pull this out and we get all this money and this ability to springboard back, like Amarim says, and the ability to go big in the market. And we're buying Cunha and we're buying Gyökeres and we're buying the players that everybody wanted. And people still want to join United because they see that it's still there. This is an opportunity to save that. This is such a huge opportunity. I cannot express it enough. And that's why we need to win so much, and that's why it bothers me. And it is terrifying because, I mean, you take a look at this. I called it the tomb because this used to be our fortress. This is our points earned at home by season since 2011, from probably the best season ever under Sir Alex at home, 55 out of 57 possible points, an unbelievable record. And you look at the decline year by year by year, culminating in 21 this season right now. But it did not come out of the blue. This is a steady, steady trend. United are losing the fear. And at home, it's more visible than ever. People do not come to Old Trafford and say, I'm afraid to play United anymore. We suffered some of the most embarrassing defeats I've ever witnessed in my lifetime at home in these last couple of seasons. And it's been growing. It's been growing and it's been growing. Even under Solskjaer, we were better away. And at home, we had this problem. Amram's talked about how at home the pressure is there because the fans still expect that magic, but the opposition doesn't care for it anymore. The opposition doesn't believe in it anymore. They don't fear us anymore. So that's why I'm anxious. And that's why I view this as such a big game. And I think it is. I think it's huge. And look, I'm always going to find the positivity in things. We lose, I will be distraught. And I will, of course, find a way to feel better about it later on. And I will hope that they can get it all right, that they can do all the right things to claw back. And I don't even mean this to be negative, but my hope is that they can rise to the occasion. Because it is a chance for people like Bruno Fernandes, a chance for people like Harry Maguire, a chance for people like Casemiro who have been here and been through it to pull United from the burning wreckage. and salvage what we have to build something beautiful for the future and take us into a new era that reverses this decline, this death spiral that we've been in. It is an opportunity in every dramatic moment and every horrible moment and everything that could be so bad. There's also the opportunity for something great. And that's what I think they can do, is something great. So those are my feelings. A very strange, very unusual video, but I am absolutely in my feelings about this final and where United are at the club. It has been a torturous couple of years. It really has. And that's how I feel. Maybe this helps for you to watch. Maybe it helps crystallize feelings in you. Maybe not. Maybe it makes you more excited, makes you feel more scared. For me, my hope is that the players get this. And it's one of the reasons I hoped that the legends would be more positive that I've spoken about recently. That guys like Rio would send those messages. And why I was so happy to see guys like Beckham do so as well. Because we need that. The players who have been there, done that, they have to understand it wasn't just we were better, we were smarter. There's a mental aspect, there's a momentum that builds and a feeling and a desire and a belief that has to form. And you can help to impart that to the players. You can help to impart that to the people who are there because they need it more than ever. We all need it more than ever. So that was my hope that they could do so. And I've seen they've done a bit. And I know the club get it. And I know, with the video and thing that they posted that they get it too, that this is what matters. And that sometimes while it's cheesy and frustrating, you got to rely on that history because it's an attempt to bring some of that magic, some of that mentality. Because it isn't magic. It's just having the desire, the mental strength, the fortitude, but also the confidence. And that comes with success. And it snowballs to do what is necessary. So it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to turn the fortunes of the club around. And I don't think it's actually smaller than that. I don't think I'm being over dramatic about it. I think it is the biggest opportunity we've had in 12 years for the club to turn itself around. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been interesting. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know how you feel. I've appreciated hearing from all of you. It makes me feel better talking to people about all of this and less anxious. But man, do I feel dramatic about it. But yeah, that's what I've got. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.